Hey, thanks for tuning in to Relationship Entertainment TV. I'm your host, Felicia Dortch, with the news you can use and the ish you don't want to miss. Thank you for tuning in on this wonderful Tuesday. I hope your week is starting off great. You know, this is the countdown before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is next week. I know my family is excited about it. My children are definitely excited about it because this is their last week of homeschool, before they're out till December 1st. So trust me, they're counting down. I'm excited because I'm ready to eat, all of that good cooking that we do on Thanksgiving. And yes, I actually cook. I've been cooking the Thanksgiving dinners for quite some time now. Since my mother became ill, she can't really cook everything. So I'm most of the time I cook for my family, and I cook a whole nother set of food for her. Last year, she was able to help my stepdad do it. So we'll see how it goes this year. I'm going to have a load of cooking to do. I'll cook till I get tired, or I'll cook till the wine run out. We'll see what happens. Well, last week I talked to you about some of the first that happened for us as African Americans. I talked to you about during these times, we have the pandemic, we have the election chaos still going on, and a lot of times these stories are overlooked or buried. So I wanted to bring one up today that I saw on the news, and so I went and did a little more research on it and wanted to talk to you about it. I'm actually going to bring this up tomorrow when we talk in homeschool with my twins for history, because I want them to see that, no matter what, you can still persevere. You can still do something to help your city. You can still do something to help your community. You don't have to just stand on the sidelines. We buy the t-shirts, we try to support in all kind of manners, but sometimes your voice is what you need to really make an impact. And this lady made an impact. And I'm super proud to talk to you about this because she's a nurse just like I'm a nurse, and she's a nurse and an activist. And it just shows that we see so many things happening, but it's when you stand up and do something about it is when it really counts. And it hit home for me because I'm one of those where I see a problem, I try to come up with a solution. I know there's definitely tons of things I can do more in my community. One of the things I do, just always keeping it transparent with you, because I don't like to talk about things that I won't do myself, is me and my family, we volunteer a lot. We volunteer with our church. We volunteer with their troop. We do probably over 40 hours of volunteer work in a year. Usually it's way more than that per person, not cumulative. So we do a lot of volunteering. And this young lady that I want to talk about, she took it a step further. I wanted to tell you how, today we're celebrating Cori Bush, who was elected as Missouri's first Black woman in Congress. That is pretty exciting, and like I said, she's a nurse and an activist. She garnered a commanding 84% of the vote in Missouri's first district to become the state's first Black woman representative in the United States Congress. That is simply amazing. One, she's African American. Two, she's a woman. This is a quote from her. "This is definitely a night to remember," Bush told supporters during her acceptance speech. "This has been a historic day from the beginning to the end." So she not only made history as being the first African American, also a female, but she beat out someone who's been in office as the rep for a very long time. Bush had the backing of the Justice Democrats, who helped propel Representative Alexandria Cortez to her first victory over 10-term incumbent Joe Crowley. So in August, the Democratic primary, Bush had her own victory by beating out the long-term Missouri rep William Lay Clay. So again, she's making history all the way around, from being the first African American to being the first woman to beating out someone that's been in office for a very, very long time. So that shows that a change is coming. I still say women rule the world, but that's another segment. Bush got involved with Black Lives Matter movement in 2014. So when Michael Brown, an unarmed Black teenager, was shot and killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, she joined the protest that erupted in the wake of the shooting and soon began leading the protest in her own Missouri district. So that's where I was talking about, where you see a problem and you try to come up with a solution. Now, she could have said, "Oh, I see that's happening. I hate that happened." But she decided to use her voice. She decided to get on the forefront, get in the road with everyone, protest, and, bring things to legislature so we can try to make changes. Bush has remained engaged in protest work ever since, getting heavily involved in a recent protest surrounding the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So this just excites me, because when I'm talking with my children, when we're doing homeschool, and we're talking about being the solution, not the problem, in everything that you do in life, we're very supportive. We buy the t-shirt, we buy the hat, we chant Black Lives Matter, but it's when you step out and move a step, out, just go out a little more, make one more step. Not only did this young lady be in the protest, lead the protest, but she decided to run to be a representative from Missouri, and then actually she won. People trust her. They bought into what she was thinking, and they bought into how she was feeling about the changes that need to be made. So when I talk with my children, I'm always telling them to be a leader, not a follower. Make sure that when you see something happening, you come up with a solution, or you go find someone else to help you come up with a solution, but not at any point should you be adding to the problem. And with this time that we have going on, everybody is kind of tunnel vision into their own space in their own world, because right now the world is forcing us to be that way. Just last week I talked about having Thanksgiving COVID style. I've never in my life thought about having a Zoom Thanksgiving. Like, I don't really even know how to enjoy that. So we're forced to kind of be in our own little bubble. So we tend to see things that's happening, and we're like, well, what are we supposed to do about it? It's always an opportunity to do something about it. And I talked about this last week about being the first. Find something to be the first to do this, or the first in your family to do that. For me, I was the first in my family to get a degree from a university. So you have to be strong enough to step out and make those opportunities happen. And again, if you see something happening or you see a problem, be a part of the solution. I love to be transparent on all of my broadcasts, and I love to give examples as teaching moments, or to help drive home my point. My twins and I, we went to the store, and we was coming back home when we saw these little kids going to the mailbox. So in my neighborhood, the mailboxes are not in front of your home. They're, on the side of the street. You go down to the end of the street, and there's a whole big box of mailboxes there, and you pick yours and get your mail. Well, this little boy couldn't have been no more than maybe 10. Like, I may be pushing it by saying that he was 10. But he had his little sister with her, and I know she could not have been more than 4 or 5. So they're walking towards the mailbox, and I'm driving towards my street, and this car pulls up, and he stops. It was one of those stops where it's like, why'd you stop so quickly like that? It kind of caught me and my twins' attention, so I stopped. And then the car started backing up as if he was following the kids. So now I put my car in park. I put my car in park, I opened the door, and I start talking to the children. And I asked the little boy, I said, do you know them in that car? And he said, no, because the little boy had the same concern. His instincts, he was really good about protecting his sister. He grabbed his sister and he started running towards the mailbox. And that's another reason why I stopped, because it didn't seem like it made sense to me why he was doing that. Because he turned, he looked at the car and grabbed his sister and told her to run. So I get out of my car and I'm talking to them, and I know the person in the car can see me talking to them because the car stopped. And I told the little boy, I said, I'm going to stay here and watch you go back to your house. And he said, okay. Well, it all ended up being nothing. The guy was lost. He literally was lost. He was parked in front of the house he was supposed to be at, and then the people walked out. A lady and a little girl walked out and went to meet him. So he was lost. He was truly lost, looking for whatever house he was at. But the way he did it was scary. So that is my point of being a part of the solution, not the problem, or ignoring things totally. This goes back to the young lady that won the election, Cori Bush, as the first African-American woman in Missouri to win a representative position. She could have just said, oh, I hate that that's happening. And yeah, Black Lives Matter, but I don't want to be a part of that, But she chose to step out and be a part of the solution, not the problem. She chose to be a voice for the voiceless. Just as I chose to stop my car, I could have kept going. That's not my children. So I could have kept going and went on to my house, and then maybe I would have saw them on the news as two kids that they were looking for, or some, police officer knocking at my door because showing the picture of two kids that I just saw. So it's all about stepping out and being a solution to the problem, not adding more to the problem. I was there. I used my voice. I used me as help for people that I didn't even know. The same way that this young lady would be doing for the state of Missouri is using her voice to be a voice to the voiceless, to people that may or may not be still here with us, like Breonna Taylor, like George Floyd. So I am super excited to talk to you about Missouri's first state representative, Cori Bush. And I'm so proud that she's a nurse just as I am. And I hope to find more stories like this to bring them to you, because I'm really excited, and it makes me proud as an African American and as a woman to see that we are continuing to thrive at a time such as this. Thanks for tuning in to Relationship Entertainment TV. Again, I'm your host, Felicia Dortch. I'll see you Thursday.